It is so hot.
This Portland native goes by one name, Bird.
Hi, how are you?
And she's on one mission.
Thank you so much.
To help her community survive the next heat wave.
Wow. Are they pretty light?
Oh, yeah.
Because she says the death toll from the last one is so devastating.
They said, well, the number's 116. I said, you got to be kidding me. And so from there, I was tuned all the way in.
Here they are.
She began taking matters into her own hands.
I just grab a card and I fill out the names, addresses, phone numbers of folks. We were able to help get fans and air conditioners to about 200 people.
She wanted to do something after what happened in late June.
More than 100 deaths across the Pacific Northwest.
It is Portland's all-time record high ever.
Punishing heat in the Pacific Northwest led to pavement buckling, a streetcar cable melting. At hospitals, there were thousands of emergency room visits, and there were hundreds of deaths. A recent study examining heat exposure in urban areas across the country found that that kind of extreme heat can be more dangerous depending on your zip code.
There are certain areas that are hotter than others. That's for sure. You seriously could start East County and drive your way through Portland and Southwest and feel the difference in temperatures. It's ridiculous.
That's because places with less tree canopy, more pavement, and large buildings retain heat, creating urban heat islands like you find in Portland's Albina area, where Bird's family has roots.
It's a layered issue that did not have to happen.
Part of that layered issue involves redlining. It was banned in 1968, but for decades, redlining was a common discriminatory practice of disinvestment, with lenders being discouraged from issuing mortgages in certain neighborhoods. In Portland, banks used this map to highlight what they considered the city's best areas in green and hazardous areas in red. Albina, with a large black population at the time, was formerly redlined, with the particular hazard being listed as racial. And back then, there were restrictions on where communities of color could live because of covenants.
And it would say things like no Negro, no Mexicans, no Japanese could buy a home. These signs are all part of the historic Black Williams Art Project.
Kayeen Talton Davis and her husband Cleo live in Albina and say over the years a community was built here.
This sign is about the Urban League, and this really kind of talks about equal housing.
But racist housing policies of the past, combined with construction projects that demolished homes, led to more pavement and less parks, making Albina disproportionately warmer today.
Between the 1950s and 60s is when the Oregon Department of Transportation began running highways. I-5 just ran a trench right through our neighborhood.
Right now, Lower Albina is mostly concrete, and concrete definitely holds more heat.
There are studies tracking neighborhood temperatures here in Portland.
So this is looking at the temperature results for the afternoon and the evening.
And in King County, too.
These paved areas heat up during the middle of the day.
A year ago, Laura Whiteley Bender, King County's climate preparedness specialist, was part of a heat mapping project. On a July day, drivers set out on 15 predetermined routes at the same time, collecting temperature data and coming up with these results. North Seattle in light blue was much cooler than South Seattle. It was also hotter along the Renton, Kent, and Auburn corridor, all places where there are larger populations of communities of color. Across the county, at the same point in time, there was a nearly 24-degree difference.
We were expecting to see the urban heat island effect. I think we were surprised at how large the temperature difference was. We were also surprised just to see how clearly it stood out.
That's why when temperatures hit triple digits in June, the heat was more deadly in some zip codes than others.
As the event set up, it was sobering.
Have we seen temperatures like that here before?
We have not. We broke our records in multiple ways. We know with climate change that we expect to see, and we are seeing, more frequent, more intense heat wave events.
Every time I think about it, people died because they were hot in their homes. It makes no sense to me.
There are efforts underway in Washington and Oregon to plant more trees and find long-term solutions.
I've been out until like 1:30 in the morning delivering air conditioners and fans.
But Bird has no time to wait. She's too busy getting ready for the next round of unhealthy heat.
What we do know, there's going to be another heat wave. And so now you have some of the folks who have been the most targeted, living in an area where you can't even get relief from heat. It's very sad.
That's why she's here,
Thank you. Thank you so much.
doing all she can.
That's what it's all about. I cannot read another report that a person died because of heat. That's crazy.